Hi there, Zam here from NerdTube. These are my thoughts and spoilers of Gangs of London Season 3. There's so many characters, there's so many things to talk about. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get through it all. But overall, I have to say that with Season 3 of Gangs of London, I'm a little bit disappointed. I think the direction we went with this season was the incorrect road, so to speak. And I'll tell you why. Elliot Carter is a character who, in my opinion, is the main person of this show. And he was an undercover cop who ends up being ousted, and the underworld still embrace him, and he now becomes a mob boss by the end of season 2, beginning of season 3. And we see him doing his mob boss shit of selling cocaine to his clients. But the cocaine he's selling is laced with fentanyl, so the people snorting it are dying from it. And this is a big fucking problem. So Elliot is now kind of almost regressing to a degree, almost resetting to a degree, because he's kind of on the run, so to speak, from various members of his own syndicate who are really pissed off that the cocaine he's selling is killing people, and sometimes those people happen to be people associated with these gangsters as well, like their daughters and stuff like that, who've taken a sneaky line, not expecting themselves to die from it, but they end up doing so, and so people like Luan wants fucking vengeance. He's not necessarily going after Elliot, but he wants some answers, and he expects people like Elliot to get those fucking answers. Regardless, it's causing Elliot a lot of fucking shit because he has to resolve this particular issue. So instead of him being this top tier guy making negotiations and running shit and maybe putting people under his boot and being this fucking Don Corleone, he's kind of gone back to what he was before, which is somebody who has to answer to other people and not necessarily being this mob boss, which is why I had an issue with this series and the progression of this series when our character is not progressing but they're resetting, so to speak. Another issue I had as well was the storyline of Elliot's kid and wife being killed, which was part of his character development. You see, the reason why he went undercover as with the gangsters in the first place is which is a suicide mission, is because he's lost his wife and child, so he's willing to do this suicide mission, but he's got not very much to live for, and he still wants to do the right thing, so to speak. So he fought at the time. But his wife and child being killed ends up being a massive storyline in this season, and I really didn't like how that progressed. And that storyline is associated with another character called Zeke, who comes into play. Now, Zeke happens to be the bastard son of Finn Wallace. He had many fucking mistresses, and Zeke was the offspring of one of those mistresses. But he also happens to be a very good killer, assassin, hitman, so to speak. Able to take people out. At the time, shows no remorse, but other times he shows a conscience, and he just makes no fucking sense. It really doesn't. This character Zeke, I don't know how to take him. I don't know what he might offer if they do a season 4, and I hope they do. But yeah, this was a bizarre addition to this particular series. Now, not everything was really bad. For instance, the character of Lale, she was really good, but she had some very crazy, almost bizarre, arguably stupid moments during the course of her arc, as we saw her getting captured by Asif at the end of season 2. She was sold out by Sean Wallace. We see why she wasn't killed, because she made a deal with Asif because she's pregnant with Sean Wallace's son. And so in a flashback, we see her heavily pregnant, and at one particular point, she decides to try to escape Asif's custody, and by doing so, she's in labor trying to escape, and she ends up giving birth on the fucking run. So you're seeing her, give birth. There's the baby, blood's pouring everywhere out of her cooch, and she's trying to run away from these fucking gangsters. And at one point, she uses her own fucking placenta, to strangle a gangster. It's crazy. But Asif doesn't end up catching her because she's extremely winded from her ordeal, and Asif takes her baby and makes Lale work for her, which is why we see in the present day why Lale is being a bit shady amongst her own crew, because she's also working for Asif as well, and she's doing that so she can get her son back, and her son also being the son of Sean Wallace. We see what happens to him. He doesn't last very long in this series. He's killed off for good this time. No fake death like they did in season 1. They truly kill him off very early on in season 2. and his death ends up being a reason why Marion is on a vengeance warpath herself, because she wants to get revenge for her son too. But she has another son in Billy, and I have to say, Billy kind of stepped up to the plate this season. He's becoming very gangster-like. He's got his uncle Cornelius to guide him, so to speak. Cornelius being the brother of Marion. So we see all of that from Billy, but even Billy at one particular point kind of disappoints me, because he's very callous throughout most of these episodes, killing people without a second thought. But then at one particular point he grows a conscience himself and is willing to actually sacrifice himself because of the conscience he's grown, and he just felt very out of place for what he has shown so far within his character to do something as crazy as that. So yeah, I wasn't happy with the very end of Billy's arc during this season. Is he dead or alive? I don't know, but they kind of left that up in the air. We'll find out, I guess, next season. So yeah, we have that as well. Luan, you know, he's the guy who's got more lives than a fucking cat. You know, he's come close to death several times in the previous seasons, and those moments are really cool to watch with him, you know, flirting with death. But on this particular occasion now, he wants vengeance because his daughter has taken some of that lace cocaine, and he wants to know who the fuck spiked that cocaine. And we see him going on a warpath trying to get answers as well. We have Ed and his wife, his daughter Shannon, playing a more seedier role in this series too. And yeah, there's a reason why they're a bit more seedy in this. And I mentioned Asif as well. He fucking departs the show by getting killed off by Lale as she gets her kid back with the help of Elliot as well. There's lots of things that happen obviously during the course of this series, good and bad. And obviously we have a mayor, a cocaine taking mayor, who wants to take out the gangs in London by doing something maybe that she would deem to be crazy, but would actually be the answer to stopping the gangs from doing their drug wars. She wants to make cocaine legal. She wants to make drugs legal within London, which would end the drug business for the gangs, because they need the shit to be illegal for them to sell it. But if it becomes legalized, then they lose everything. And so we see that play a part in this too, in stopping her from legalizing drugs. My God, there's so many, and there's more characters that come in by the end of the series too. Like, it's just so much shit. There's just so much shit, and we have secondary characters being killed off and all of that. Sabe, who had a decent role to play in season 2, she's not used that much here in season 3. She's just somebody who works under Elliot, not much more. But overall, what we get from season 3 here is a lot of convolution and not enough gangsterism in a way that is satisfying. It's just gangsterism for the sake of having gangster moments, which don't work within the story that we are getting. I want this rag to riches and further riches for Elliot. You know, maybe he ends up falling on his sword eventually, but I just felt that we're at the very beginning of him stepping up, and he immediately had to step down and kind of end up doing the very sort of shit he was doing in the first couple of seasons, you know, and I really didn't like that. I wanted that progression. I wanted him to be the Don, and we didn't get that. Maybe what I want and what I got is, you know, I shouldn't necessarily, you know, expect to get what I want. But if I don't get what I want, then whatever you do deliver in its place has to be also enjoyable. And even though the action set pieces were cool at times and they were fun to watch, the overall storylines, especially like bringing his wife and kid into it as a story angle, is like really fucking stupid. It really is. I'm gonna give Gangs of London a mid 5 out of 10. You know, it's watchable, but it's not great. Hello, my boy, how you doing? So yeah, let me know what you think of Gangs of London. 5 out of 10 from me. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube, the greatest social media channel you never heard of. Take care. Bye bye.